Hey guys, so we're back on the Hohner shark fin. Today we're going to be pulling these damaged frets out, and we're going to do a few other things to get this fretboard ready. The bushings arrived that we ordered in the last part. The reamer also arrived that we ordered. Here is the reamer. We're going to check this bushing. It is approximately 10.2 millimeters as advertised. However, the reamer is not, and so that's a problem. We don't want these bushings to be too tight, so they act like a wedge and apply pressure that may want to split that wood. So I ordered some drills, and we'll take care of that. But for now, there's a demonstration. It's not cutting anything. It's too small. And again, we don't want those to split the wood. So here we currently have a 10-inch radius, and that's all the way down the fretboard. And here's some fret wire, and we're going to use this radius gauge. And we're going to use this fret wire bender. And we're going to keep bending the wire. We're going to pull a couple of frets and work with the wire until we have a good radius that'll work on the fretboard. And we are going to sand this fretboard to a 12-inch radius. I prefer a 12-inch, so that's what I'm going to go with. So here I'm just fitting the fret wire into the first slot. And I'm going to do a couple of things here before we really take off getting started. First is setting the radius on the bender. Second is checking to see what kind of tear out we get. And I'm going to try using these small fret pullers. And they didn't want to work too well without heat. But I did give them a shot. And we're going to pull 2 or 3 frets out and check and see if we can get away with not using heat. And as you can see, there's a little bit of tear out there. So we're going to go ahead and cut us a couple of frets, check the fret wire. And once we have the proper radius, we'll just lock it down and radius all the fret wire to the same size. And here, this is the saw that I ordered from StuMac, and it's a pretty handy little tool. I'm not endorsed by them or sponsored by them, so I'm not necessarily trying to endorse their products, but sometimes they have some pretty cool tools. I don't always purchase from them, but when I do, I seem to be satisfied. So now I'm going to get the large fret pullers. And again, we're just going to see, can we pull these frets without heat, because if we can, it'll be much faster. Especially for me. I will tell you, I did get the iron out. You're about to see. I'm just using my electronics soldering iron. And any of you that haven't used this process, you may be wondering what's the point in applying solder to the fret. Well, when you get the fret hot enough to melt the solder, you know that that's enough heat to loosen any of the adhesives. Plus, as the solder begins to bond to the fret and melts down the fretboard, it helps to more evenly distribute the heat throughout the fret. You can probably do this without the solder, but I found that it works a little bit better if you do use solder. And by the way, if you see the fret holder block, if you'll click the link to my tutorial, I demonstrate how to design that in VCarve Pro and how to spit out the G-code and execute the G-code on a Onefinity CNC. And then I demonstrate boring the holes and also engraving. It's a pretty handy little block, and it's a neat little video. And I did skip ahead on some of these. I edited out probably half of the frets, so you guys wouldn't have to sit here and watch the same process. But I did want to demonstrate for it, for some of you that haven't done this before. And then plus, if you're like me, I enjoy watching this kind of work. Also, I want to apologize if I sound groggy, but I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, and it's 11:20 right now, and I just haven't had an opportunity to get these done, and I really wanted to get them uploaded before the weekend. And if you like my videos and you like what you're watching, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you'll get notified when I upload new videos. But also share so that friends and family that may be interested in this kind of thing or any of my other hobbies will tune in and get me some traffic to my YouTube channel. You can see how much more easily the frets come out with E. And not much tear out. But to be on the safe side, I will be wicking some super glue in when I put the new frets in. And when I bought this fret wire, Stu Mac was having a sale on fret wire, and the wide and jumbo wire is on sale, or it was on sale. So if you're considering refretting a guitar anytime soon, even if it's going to be a few months away, if they still have that sale on, it might be a good idea to go ahead and get your fret wire. I think I ordered 46 feet. A couple of guitars. I do want to mention that if you do decide to use solder to help distribute the heat when removing your frets, you really should use ventilation. Solder has lead in it. I'm not using any small fan. You don't see a fan or anything in the video because my ventilation fan is running and there's already a draft pulling the smoke away. And as I'm pulling these off, I think you can already see how wavy the fretboard was. It doesn't mean it was a bad, cheap made fretboard or anything like that. It just means that it's dried out. I mean, the guitar was made in either 84 or 85. And it's probably spent many, many years in somebody's closet, garage, attic, or basement. but I really love to recondition these old instruments. It's history. So there we are. So now we have to secure it. We have to check the truss rod adjustment, which has already been made. And then we're going to use this sanding block that's 12-inch on one side and 16 on the other. And we're going to put a 12-inch radius. And I made this by recycling a damaged framing square. And it's made to bolt up to the back of your guitar neck. And the other two holes will go on to a T-slot bolt. So you'll see that in a moment. And when you watch part 3, I actually do something else pretty cool with this little jig for fretboards. So now we're going to clamp this down to secure it on one end so that we can sand. And on the other end, we're going to let the head rest on a thin piece of MDF. Actually, it was plexiglass. So it's good and straight, and you can see the waves that I was talking about, where the fretboard dried out, and it was high around the frets. Now I'm going to use some 400 grit sandpaper just to mark the board and get an idea of what kind of work I got to do. I would use 400 if I was just polishing it. But you can see, and there's the Hohner Arbor Series logo that I cleaned up out of pictures so I could print the logo to put on the headboard. And you can already see the low spots in the fretboard. So now I'm using some double-sided tape on the edge of the sanding block. The local shops didn't have any self-adhesive sandpaper. And it didn't matter. I prefer to do this anyway, really. It's easier to get the paper on and off. And I don't put tape all over the paper. I just put it on the edges just to keep it from moving. And now we're going to use some 220 grit. I generally don't like to use anything bigger than this on a fretboard. I mean, unless, you know, it's a new fretboard that you're shaping. So now we're just going to start out making some cuts. We know we got a way to go. And I need to collect some dust. And that's really why the paper's there. We got some tear out to tend to. And we're also going to have the fret edges. Or fret curve edges. So now we're going to collect some of this dust and make sure that we're sanding flat. And we are. And now I'm going to clean those slots out just to collect the dust. And again, I added some of this out. And the fretboard already looks better. It was pretty rough. this block looks angled or skewed, it's the angle of the camera. I'm being really careful to keep it straight.
Almost there.
Now I'm going to mark the sides.
That's just so we don't have to keep stopping.
Yeah, when we see the pencil lead start to go away, we know that we're reaching the proper radius. And then we'll mark the entire fretboard with lead and sand until all the lead's gone. And if it looks like the fretboard is flexing, it's not. And here you can see where we almost have a 12-inch radius. Not quite there, but close. And again, I'm just barely pressing down, so you're just seeing the whole neck relax where the head settles down onto that piece of plexiglass. Clean a little bit more. I'm keeping this dust in a vial. We're checking the radius. And now we're going to mark it up. We're almost there. As you can see by the small amounts of pencil lead remaining, we're almost down to the 12-inch radius. So we're going to check again.
Almost.
Now we're checking.
And there we are again. And it's good and flat. Good and flat.
We're checking the
That'd be
radius.
perfect, but man, it's so much closer to perfect than it was. Yeah. Okay.
Going to check, make sure it's straight, and it is. Guys, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share my channel. Tune in for the next video. In the meantime, here's our 12-inch radius We're very, very close. And now we're ready to move on. We'll finish this out and then sand again just to get that down, and then we'll move on. Thanks for watching.